Happy Feast Day, Internet! I'm the Catholic Bartender, and today we're celebrating the feast of St. John Chrysostom. While St. John Chrysostom isn't as well known in the West, he's a lot more known in the East. He was a pagan born in Antioch who was eventually converted to Christianity through philosophy and then went into the priesthood. And during his priesthood, he had a very strong focus on the poor, and he gave wonderful sermons, and that's where he got his nickname called the Golden Tongue, which is the name of this cocktail today. Now, while he was a priest, he just became very well known, and he was able to grasp in a lot of people during his sermons. And then he was eventually appointed to being the Bishop of Constantinople. Because everyone loved him, they thought he was going to be a bishop that got along with everyone. And quite the contrary, actually. He was so motivated by the Holy Spirit to speak the truth as it was. He called out heretics. He called out the rich. He called out corruption. And he called out even corruption amongst clergy and amongst noblemen. And it caused a lot of controversies, but because of that, St. John Chrysostom stuck to his word. So the cocktail for today is the Golden Tongue. And what you're going to need first is you're going to need some sort of mixing glass. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't have a mixing glass, so I'm going to go ahead and use my cocktail shaker. But we're not going to shake this shaker, or we're not going to shake this cocktail. This is just for having something to mix it with. Usually people have it in a glass, but this is all I have, so we're going to use this. And for our first ingredient, we're going to use your choice of either whiskey or bourbon. Where did I put mine? Here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Keeper's Heart whiskey. Now, any whiskey or bourbon you use will work for this cocktail. I like this one because it is a good Irish-American blend, which I think that kind of burn, but with the sweetness of that kind of put together, would work really, really well with this cocktail. So we're going to give 1.5 ounces of whiskey or bourbon. Whoop, spilled a little on myself. After you've added your whiskey to your drink, what you're going to do is you're going to add 1 ounce of honey. Now, I'm just using cheap Great Value honey because to me it kind of tastes all the same. If you have a preference for which honey that you want, go ahead and use that honey. But like I said, for me, I don't really... I hope I have enough. Well, let's hope this shoot works because I think I only have enough honey left for one cocktail. Well, either way, you're going to do 1 ounce of your preferred honey, and you're going to go ahead and pour it into your mixing glass. After you've added your honey into your drink, what you're going to do is you're going to take some lemonade and you're going to add 2 ounces of lemonade to your drink. So let's go ahead and give that pour in. And once again, use whatever lemonade you prefer. I'm just using cheap store-bought lemonade. If you want to make your own lemonade, make it even extra crafty, more power to you. So I'll be honest, I just thought of this next one a little off the cuff. But what we're going to do is we're going to add 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. And the reason we're going to do that is because while there's already a lot of lemon with the 2 ounces of lemonade, the lime juice will go ahead and give it a bit of bitterness to help balance out all the sweetness. The honey is very sweet and the lemonade is also very sweet. And even for a bourbon, we're using a relatively sweet bourbon. So I think having something that could maybe balance that flavor profile a little bit might make this drink just punch just a little bit more. Alright, now that you've added your lemon juice, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a bar spoon and you're going to want to dry mix. Now the reason why you want to dry mix, and you'll notice it if you're starting to mix it already, is that the honey gets hard pretty quickly. It's really hard to mix in. If you added ice right away, it'll harden the honey even more. What I have found too is when making stuff like this, if the honey doesn't want to come dissolve, usually warming it up helps quite a bit, or adding it to a simple syrup. I didn't add it to a simple syrup because I thought the straight honey would really help impact the flavor a lot more, but that's something you can do too. So looking back at it, I kind of wish I did that because this honey is kind of hard to break down. So once you've mixed your honey, what you're going to do is you're going to take a highball glass. This one's dirty. I need to clean that one. We're going to take a highball glass, and you are going to fill your highball glass with ice. Now, there is a little bit of debate among bartenders whether or not you want to put the ice in first or you want to put the ice in last. Now, I go back and forth on this. Most bartenders put the ice in first, and the reason is because, especially when you're in a bar, you don't want there to be a whole lot of splash. But if you put the ice in first, when you go to pour in your mixture that you've made, you're going to actually like melt and dilute some of the ice. So you're already starting the melting process, and your drink's gonna be a little more watered down. But I think for this cocktail, well, for any cocktail, I don't want to cause it too much of a mess. I'm already really good at making them. So I think just putting in the ice first is fine. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a strainer and then strain out of your mixing glass. Then to top off the cocktail, which it's almost there, but it's not quite done, I decided to get some sparkling wine. Now, originally, I was thinking of using ginger beer as a kind of a topper, but I decided to go with wine. And the reason for that is because St. John Chrysostom actually has the nickname Defender of Wine. And he gets this because in one of his homilies, talking about 1 Timothy chapter 5, there's a verse in there that talks about Paul writing to Timothy saying, "Oh, and take some wine for your ailments." And let me tell you, if you needed proof that this man gave wonderful homilies, I actually have right here a passage from his homily talking about this very verse. In writing to Timothy, Paul bid him to take refuge in the healing virtue of wine drinking. Not that drinking wine is shameful, God forbid, for such precepts belong to heretics. But since our discourse has now turned to the subject of blasphemy, I desire to ask one favor of you, which is that you correct on my behalf the blasphemers of the city, who are saying that wine is evil. And should you hear anyone in the public thoroughfare, or in the midst of the forum, blaspheming God, go up to him and rebuke him, and should it be necessary to inflict blows, spare not to do so. On the face, him, strike his mouth, sanctify your hand with a blow. And should anyone accuse you and drag you to the place of justice, follow them thither. And when the judge on the bench calls you to account, say boldly that the man has blasphemed the King of angels. For if it be those who blaspheme an earthly king, much more so is it those who insult God. And let the dissolute and perverse also learn this, that they must fear the servants of God too, that if at any time they are inclined to utter such a thing, that is, drinking wine is bad, they may look around every which way at each other, and tremble even at their own shadows, lest perchance a Christian, having heard what was said, should spring upon them and sharply chastise them. Bro, and that wasn't even the whole homily, or even part of that section. That was just what I could fit on one page. Dude was passionate about wine drinking, so I thought wine was very appropriate. Now, for the wine choice, I decided to go with a sparkling white wine because the white wine would go with the gold color that we are aiming for with this cocktail. Let's see if I can actually pop this. Woo! Now for our garnish, what I decided we should do for St. John Chrysostom is cut up a lime wheel. Now the reason for this is because it's already a very it's already a very lemony drink, so it would fit really well. But also, St. John Chrysostom, because he wrote the liturgy of St. John Chrysostom, which is the most common Eastern Rite Divine Liturgy, he's very popular and very well known in the East. And in their iconography, halos are very, very commonplace. So the lemon wheel will represent the halo of St. John Chrysostom. I don't know why, but I am so bad at cutting wheels. They're never even. All right, throw that on there. And just for good measure, throw some drinking straws in there. Get the mess out of the way. And there you have it, the golden tongue. Wow, this is really, really good. It's a shame summer's coming to it. I mean, I know I'm wearing a flannel, but because it's always cold in my basement and it works. This might be one of my favorite cocktails I've ever made. So you can taste kind of up front a lot of that sugar from the honey, and you can taste like the whiskey also. But then when you're done, you're refreshed at the end by the sparkling wine. So it's like you get hit with all that flavor, but then when you're done with the sip, you're then just like refreshed and kind of almost palated again from the wine. Anyways, thank you very much for watching.